in my longer video, I realised that I didn't look at this corner of the shed. So here's the shed looking out towards the gate. You can see where it is, out to the gate. So if we look, I look a bit closer at this, then if you look at the end A-frame, then the very end leg of that and at that is a little bit damp. But as I see, the wood seems firm, so I'm not sure that there's actually a problem there. It looks quite bad, but it doesn't seem like this wood, I don't think it's been damp for long enough, so it must be a recent thing. And same, at the end of that one seems a little bit damp, but the wood looks firm enough. And then, if you look at this one, I point out, it's got this damp patch all the way down, then that again, it seems firm. So I think that must be a recent development, that there must be a hole that has developed up there, in probably the nail hole, attaching it to the, because it seems to start where that horizontal lath is. So I expect there's a nail hole there that is letting water through, and that probably once that is fixed, then that would be okay. And I'm not sure that the A-frame needs anything more done to it than to stop the water from getting in. And so I'm not sure. I don't think that one looks like it's a serious issue. And then if we look at the outside, then you can see the slabs that are remaining. Then they're a bit battered at the bottom, and they do need to be replaced. But it's not a very urgent matter to replace the slabs on this side. At some point, it would be good at the same time to replace them with more slabs. So why not, if they are available? And so all of if corrugated iron is quite expensive, then this side of the shed could just be redone as it was before with slabs. They seem to have lasted quite a long time, even if they wouldn't last as long as the corrugated iron. And you can see the corrugated iron looks in very good condition on the outside as well. There's no sign of any serious issues with the corrugated iron anywhere that I can see. And just occasional small holes due to the nails. You see, the old corrugated iron looks in really excellent condition. No, but it's obviously rusty, but that's its charm. They seem to use very thick materials, and it's just like with all those A-frames. I mean, nowadays, I'm sure it would just be absurdly expensive to have an A-frame. You can see that the A-frames are essentially, what they've done is they've got an A-frame for every single, no, it's not quite every, it's about the A-frames are not every corrugated iron sheet, but they're almost every corrugated. I mean, there are no corrugated iron sheets that are unsupported by A-frames. There are more A-frames than the corrugated iron sheets. That's basically how it's constructed. So you can see the join between two sheets there, join between two sheets there, between two sheets there, between two sheets there, and there are no unsupported corrugated iron sheets as far as I can tell. Let's just have a little look up here. I think that would be the nearest to an unsupported. You see, they're actually going out of sync. That's the nearest to an unsupported corrugated iron sheet, except that you can see that just here, over this bit, the corrugated iron has been lifted a little bit, so that the timber at the bottom, so the corrugated iron isn't directly on the A-frames, of course, there's a gap in between, but you can see just at the bottom has been lifted off the last A-frame, at the bottom there. You can see how it's just lifted off the last A-frame slightly, the wood. The nails are still there, you can see them, so that's a case of nailing that back. And you can see on this side, the bottom wood has completely come off the A-frame, because it's essentially what's happened there is that the entire left A-frame at the end there, it's all this bit of the shed has shifted, and so conceivably, after I finished moving that end of the shed back, assuming that works, and if I move it back in position, then it may be possible to use the same method to shift this end of the shed back. I'd have to clear away some of this debris here, and then find a sound A-frame, like about here or something, and like this one maybe, the very sound A-frame, or possibly even just the end A-frame. No, you can't get the end A-frame plus one. This one here, it's sound enough A-frame, and then I'd have to lever it against something on this side, and just gradually, bit by bit, push it back way and have a tension line in the other direction to pull it that way. But I'm not very sure about that just now, because before I could do that, oh yes, I put in vertical support first. So I just do the same thing as that. I put the vertical support from the ground up to the A-frame and up to the roof. And then after having done that, to make sure that any tensioning and pushing is not going to pull it downwards, then that would help stabilise this end of the shed very well, because just a single vertical post that is able to move sideways, nailed on with a single very big nail up at the top, so that it can pivot around it, and I do it probably on this A-frame, because I can then got access to tension it on that side, and push it on that side, and then do the same thing of just using little wedgy things to wedge it gradually, and maybe gradually I can move back that way, like that. And whether or not it actually works, that vertical timber would certainly help, and the tension. So I could certainly stabilise it against further movement in the same way with the vertical timber down there. So it might possibly have to buy one but I think I might have one that's just the right length. I think I might have two the right length. If so, I could have one here and one there, and the one here, then that would support the apex of the roof. I'd tension it on that side. I'd have the whatever you call the opposite of tension, I can't remember, to hold it out with the a bit like the tensegrity things, but tension it on that side, and on this side I'd have something that was pushing against the bottom of the A-frame to stop it coming any further this way. Then I think that would stabilise this end of the shed, of the sound part of the shed, and prevent it from going any further. And then, if I'm lucky, then it might be possible to move it back to where it was in the same process, a bit like moving the Easter Island Aku Aku stone statues, just little by little, by just moving things an inch at a time. So that could be a possibility for that too. It seems worth a try. And certainly the tensioning would stabilise this end of this shed, and mean it's not going to go any further in any stronger winds. And then possibly it might be possible to move it back again, because after all the wind did move it like this, so it must be possible for it to move back again by reversing whatever the wind did. And then if I could get those ends above those walls, then the old shed would be in a much better, the sound half of the shed would be in a much better position as well. So I think I might do that. I think I might do what I've just proposed. I can't see any risks in anything I've suggested. I would immediately see if it's starting to move when I start doing the shifting, and see what does happen. If it does move even just a fraction of a bit, then that would prove that the method's going to work. And if I can't get it to move, then at least adding those tensions can't do any harm. It would keep it much more stable. So I think sometime over the next week or so I'll settle down and do this and see how it works.